So my name's Antonio Brieva, and I'm running for Fed's president. Through Imprint, I really got to know other ways to get involved on campus, and from there I got involved in orientation, where I've been an orientation leader for three years in a row. I also got the opportunity to work at the Student Success Office and the Renaissance English Language Center, where I was an academic and social peer mentor for international students in the BASE program. And I got elected last year as a Fed's arts counselor. In addition, I got hired to be Sarah Wiley's, the current Vice President of Education, Government Affairs Commissioner, where I do local and provincial advocacy. A big part of my platform is consultation. Not only consultation, but also advocacy through empowering. So I want to make sure one of the things that Jill promises in her platform is this advocacy committee. We want to bridge the gap between the services and also what us as execs are working on, right? I'm going to be working on sexual violence. So on this advocacy committee, I want to make sure that I have proper consultation from student groups that are disproportionately affected by sexual violence. Two of those groups are represented by the Women's Center and also the Glow Center, right? So I want to get their input, and I want to understand what their priorities are, what advocacy priorities they have for a given term, and make sure that we can empower them so that they can do their own advocacy. The next Fed's president is going to have a seat on the review committee that's going to review this policy because it was approved on the condition of a review. And one of the things that I really want to do is make sure that the university administration hires the sexual violence coordinator in a timely manner. I want to consult with the sexual violence coordinator and make sure that we can partner with that person and make sure that we make Feds a leader in sexual violence prevention. In addition, I want to work with our Vice President of Operations and Finance and see how we can make sure the university health insurance plan covers survivors for the adequate medical coverage that they need. Right now, that's not the case. I'm also going to be advocating on a provincial level for the same thing for OHIP, and I want to make sure that OSAP doesn't penalize either the person responding to an accusation of sexual violence or the survivor for having to drop a class that would take them from full-time to part-time, and have ramifications in their student financial aid. One of the things that I mentioned upon in the debate was the Fed's diversity audit. My golden rule, if I get elected, is to make sure that we seek out services through the university first before addressing them through Feds, right? But if the university is not willing to address any service gaps, then I think it's Fed's role to step in and make sure that those gaps are addressed. And we have to find some sort of the resources that are needed, but that gap needs to be addressed. And how are we going to identify that gap? Well, I'm proposing a Fed's diversity audit. And what does that mean? A Fed's diversity audit means seeing if there are any gaps in services relating to equity or any sort of marginalized students on campus, and make sure we're addressing those, whether that's through the equity office with the university or that's, again, through Feds. I'll be consulting with board of directors and my fellow executives. I want to also make sure that I consult with our department staff and make sure if they have any ideas on some of the long-term strategic goals of the organization and some of the metrics we can build into it. But I really want to engage student representatives and make sure that they engage with their constituents in order to make sure to drive the direction of what our long-range plan is going to be. It's tricky because the long-range plan deals with both sort of like the governance side of things and also the corporate side of things. So, it's a multifaceted consultation process. I would want to do the audit first and see exactly what comes out of that, see what any existing gaps are. I wouldn't want to speak on that without having all the facts on the table. So that's why I want to see where we're at and what we're actually delivering to students and what students think of our existing resources and services. I plan to bring predictability and sustainability to the Fed's fee by outlining a very specific strategic long-term plan. Now, this is a mid-cycle review because the long-range plan doesn't expire until 2020, but it's important to start talking about it and start gauging what what are the strategies that we want to implement, and what sort of substantive metrics we want to measure those goals by in the future. And I think the way we can do in terms of making sure the Fed's fee is sustainable and predictable is to make sure that there's no fee increases that goes against long-range plans, metrics, and goals that contradict it and aren't beneficial for the strategic goals stated in there.